By now, you should be familiar with our Centerpoint discipleship pathway: worship, connect, serve, influence, which is all about growing as a disciple of Jesus. As you know, a key component to that growth is found in participating in connect groups. Connect groups offer life-changing community that helps people draw closer to God. When we intentionally gather as a smaller-sized group centered around the Word of God, love grows, both love for God and love for each other. Connect groups strengthen the entire church body as that love develops. But of equal importance is that the world will see Jesus through us. In John 13:35, Jesus says, "By this all will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another." It's exciting to think about all the growth that will happen in both you and your Connect group members as you lead. But I want you to know that only God can grow your group members. As a Connect group leader, you are not responsible for the growth. What you are responsible for is providing the best possible environment for this growth to happen. Let's take a few minutes and discuss what this responsibility looks like. First, you are responsible for creating a warm, comfortable environment. The intimacy of the size of a Connect group lends itself to greater opportunities for members to be vulnerable and open. This type of honesty is necessary for God to move in hearts and transform lives. A comfortable environment helps to put people at ease and aids in providing a sense of safety to members as your group meets. In order to make this possible, you'll want to always be sure to have your house clean, organized, and picked up by meeting time. Have enough comfortable chairs and seats and proper lighting for the group discussion time. Make sure that the seating is arranged so that everyone can see each other's faces. Usually a circle is best. Also, be sure that your home is free of strong odors from pets or super fragrant cooking. Provide light refreshments for the group at each meeting. This could be a rotation that you have set up with group members to take turns. Coffee, water, and a treat should do it. Be welcoming and kind. Take time to ask questions and get to know your group members. Be sure that your guests feel accepted by you. Providing this type of hospitality eliminates most environmental distractions and puts folks at ease. Being intentional about your environment helps keep the main thing the main thing. Second, you are responsible for leading and facilitating the meetings. A key to leading successful meetings is to prepare in advance. If you're leading a sermon-based Connect group, this means listen to the sermon from the previous week and go over any sermon notes. Read through the post-sermon questions and have your answers prepared in advance so that you can facilitate the group discussion well. If you are leading a curriculum-based group, please complete all work in advance and preview the discussion questions for that week. One of the most vital roles of a group leader is to direct the conversation and keep it running smoothly. Here are some ways that you can do that. First, avoid unhelpful tangents. It's easy to go off subject and for conversations to veer off track. When you notice that happening, simply circle back to the topic at hand. Encourage participation. It may take a few weeks for people to warm up to one another. Try to create opportunities for all to participate by asking questions and going around the circle so everyone has a chance to give an answer. After a few weeks, you can ask specific people for their input once the group is more comfortable with one another. Another tip to facilitating great discussions is to ask open-ended questions and not close-ended ones. A close-ended question would be, is God good? It's a yes or no answer. An open-ended question would be, if God is good, why is there so much evil in the world, and why is the world so broken? That's a question that could last for hours, if not days, maybe even a lifetime. A good open-ended question is like that. So ask open-ended questions. These lend themselves to great group discussion. Resist the temptation to ask observation questions. An observation question would be like this. In the text where it's recorded that Jesus wept, you would ask, who wept? Jesus. Or what did Jesus do? He wept. That's a good question for home inductive Bible study type of stuff by yourself. If you're trying to lead a discussion that way, it's going to be really slow going and very awkward. Do not dominate the conversation. You aren't here to sermonize or teach your personal theology. We want everyone's input and perspective. In the same vein, prevent others from dominating the conversation. You may have to cut in and redirect to another person, or you may have to say something like, "Hey, so-and-so, we've heard from you a lot today. Let's hear from Susie." Usually, a simple comment like that will help the domineering person get the point. Another tip to facilitating a solid discussion is to allow for periods of silence as a normal part of small group discussion. There's nothing wrong with a slight lull in the conversation. It gives people time to think and reflect and decide if they want to speak up. We don't want to fill in periods of silence with meaningless words so people feel more comfortable. Don't fear a moment of silence. Oftentimes, God is at work in those moments, and a slight pause gives him the time to speak to people's hearts. As the leader, you'll need to keep your eye out for unhealthy patterns in discussion. Maintain healthy boundaries in group sharing, and don't be afraid to step in when you encounter oversharing, gossip, or someone who shares too much. No one is perfect, and you'll want to be alert for a discussion heading in a direction that isn't necessarily pleasing to God. Your group will be relieved to have you remind them to turn things around. Last but not least, start and end on time. A discussion that goes too long and creeps into people's personal time usually leaves a bad taste in the mouth. It's important to honor people's time and the schedule, so be punctual. These are just some tips and tricks to being a leader, and you will learn more as you go. Again, don't hesitate to reach out to your group's coach or the group's director if you have any questions. One last but important point regarding group leadership. You are not responsible to be the spiritual mentor or teacher to group members. The curriculum or discussion questions do this for you. It is not your job to police people's theology or responses to questions. We are sharing, learning, and growing together. Occasionally, a situation arises where someone says something flagrantly heretical. In these situations, you could step in and say something along the lines of, "Hey, I'm not certain that that's biblical. Let's put a pin in that and circle back to this later this week." From there, you would contact your coach, who will help you determine next steps for following up with your group or group member. Moving on, as a group leader, you are also responsible for providing care for group members. And here's how you can do that. First, track personal problems and needs of your group members. Remember to follow up with them and see how they're doing. One of the main responsibilities of your role is to pray for your group members, especially when they share personal needs or concerns. You are not responsible for the pastoral care of your group members' emotional, spiritual, or relational state. Forward any needs beyond your abilities or understanding to the Centerpoint care team. Here at Centerpoint Church, we have a care team that can help meet the needs of those in our community going through a variety of tough situations. We have a team of spiritually mature individuals, many previous pastors themselves, who can pastorally intervene when it comes to emotional, spiritual, and relational crises having to do with marriage, family, relationships, and many other spiritual concerns or problems. You can reach out to this team for hospital visits as well. It is not your responsibility to meet the financial needs of those in your group, but you can point them in the direction of our Good Samaritan Fund. Centerpoint has a benevolence fund that we call Good Sam for those that may be in a financial crisis. This is for extreme one-time situations, and there is a form you can direct your group member to in their time of need. If members are in need of increased levels of freedom from addiction, forgiveness, unforgiveness, generational curses, hidden sin, or anything else you can think of, they can fill out a Freedom Prayer application to be scheduled for a session. It is your responsibility to help your group come together and support each other in hard times. This might mean helping one another move, or providing meals for a new mom or a member recently having surgery. Lead the way in organizing help as a group when these situations arise. Communicate any special needs to your coach or the group's director. You can see the Centerpoint resource document in your basic training materials for more information on how to utilize the resources I just described. Lastly, as group leader, you are responsible for communication both to and from Centerpoint. You should receive regular emails that have announcements or information that we'd like you to share with your group members. Find a time to do that during your group time. Also, complete and submit the weekly attendance through the Group Vitals software. This helps us measure the health of our groups and keep track of where people are along the discipleship pathway. Stay connected to leadership by checking in with your group's coach at least once per month. Your coach will be reaching out to you, but be sure to follow up if you miss them. Please make it a priority to attend all training events or meetings for Connect Group leaders. The first Connect Group training you will attend is called Basic Training. If you're watching this video, you are attending Basic Training. This is a one-time training that we put on for first-time Connect Group leaders. If the training cannot be attended or you want to reference back to this training at any time, Basic Training is available online. After that, our groups department will put on twice yearly Connect Group leadership meetings. These are large-scale trainings where we will hear from our leaders and pastors. At these meetings, you will hear about any major shifts in Connect Group procedure or culture, and will be given tips and tricks to implement these changes in your group. These meetings are about developing you as a leader at Centerpoint Church so you can continue to grow and lead your Connect Group well. You should leave these meetings feeling appreciated, encouraged, and inspired. These events are both fun and important, so we definitely want to see you there. You can expect to receive regular communication from the groups department, and often there will be short videos to watch or articles to read that will add to your group leader experience. Please be sure to read or watch them, as the intended purpose is to enhance the way we lead and live out our collective purpose as a community. I promise it will all be good stuff. Knowing the responsibilities of your role and what those look like in action is key to your success. As you continue as a Connect Group leader, you will have access to regular training that will add to your experience and build upon what we have talked about today. The principles we just went over will give you the right tools to get off to a strong start with your Connect Group.